Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasting.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Stop Who Does That. This is part 2 of the Joy Hayward case. In part 1, we went over all the details of Joy's case and what happened on that day on February 12th, 2004. And here today, we have her sister, Grace. She's going to be talking to us about who Joy was as a person, where the case stands today, and what our ask of you all is going to be in helping us get this family some answers.
Welcome, Grace.
Welcome, Grace. Thank you for coming on and joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Yeah. So Grace and I, we met on TikTok. I started the Stop Who Does That page on TikTok a couple months ago, and I saw Justice for Joy and I followed it. And then every time I would log in, I'd see a photo pop up of Joy. And there's just something magnetic about Joy. And I was telling this to Grace. I'm like, there's just something about her that you kind of see something familiar in her. She was just so pretty and just so full of life. And that really comes through in her photos that me, as like somebody who never knew her, I'm like, I want to help her, and I kept seeing your post how this is still unsolved. It's been 22 years.
I can't
Can't believe 2004 was 22 years ago, but it's been 22 years. And, according to the police, they have DNA of the perp. So why don't we have a hit? Why don't we have more movement? And unfortunately, everything's just kind of come to a stop for this family. And we want to give Grace an opportunity to tell us about Joy. We don't know her. All we know of her is from what we've read and what we've heard on your TikTok page. Are you her younger sister or older sister? Like, what kind of person was she? What did she like to do for fun? It's just the floor is yours, Grace.
Yeah, absolutely. So Joy was my older sister. So Joy and I have two older sisters from our dad, and then Joy and I are actually the biological sisters. So she was 8 years older than me. So we actually grew up sharing a room.
Oh.
I wanted to be with her. Big sister, she always had the cool clothes. It was in the time of like the mismatched earrings. I wanted my ears pierced just like Joy. So there was so many similarities. But when she was in like middle and high school, she did cheerleading. She played the guitar. She drove a red 1968 Mustang. So different than like, the Ford Contours that all the other kids were driving. She stood out in like this really, kind of too cool, but like her own style. She had a cheerleading jacket and said Joy on it, didn't say Hayward. So it was like my big sister for everything. I would go in her closet and I remember she had, like this striped shirt and she's like, "Where's that striped shirt?" I'm like, "Lord, I'm sorry." It was a time of scrunchies too. So the hair scrunchies like, that we have now are nothing compared to the big fluffy, she was part of the Panthers, so they were burgundy and blue, and she would come get me off the bus every day. So high school got out earlier and she would come get me off the bus every day and we'd walk home and we'd wait for our parents to get home. My dad worked and my mom's a school teacher. And we spent our afternoons together. I remember putting hair bows in her prom date's hair. Uh, yeah, there was so many
And she
like
let
different
you
things.
she
Like I
let
was
you
like
pal
that
around,
little
like,
sister. Like
because Jackie and I have
Yeah.
sisters, and I don't
me
know about you,
too.
Jackie, but
Yeah.
I would not let my younger sister
Yep.
pal around like that. So Joy, she seems like the most amazing big sister.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, my sister's 6 years younger, and I was so mad if she wore my clothes, but it sounds like she didn't mind.
No, she would just ask, like, "Where's that shirt?" Because she knew mom
Yeah.
didn't take it. She's like, "I know you have it." And I would go and listen to her phone calls. It was in landline, and she'd be up
Oh.
in the room, and I would go listen in the kitchen. I'd be like, "Where are we
Oh.
going?" She's like, "I'm going to the movies." And I'm like, "But I want to tag along." She's like, "You're not going to the movies with my friends and I." But her friends would always come over. We had a
Yeah.
pool, so I kind of got to be like the hangout little sister. They would still make me go play gopher, like, go get us chips and go get us sodas, but guess what? I was still hanging
Yeah.
out, so
Yeah.
do it.
Aw.
And she had really good high school friends. Like all of her friends were very, completely apologetic and everything, but they were so cool back in high school. Like they'd give me their clothes or let me wear their jacket and stuff. So, but when she went off to college, I was so sad. I was in
Mhm.
5th grade
Wow.
and she gave me
Oh.
a flower making Play-Doh basket. Like this Play-Doh is like white and you would like turn the basket
I
this
think I
way.
remember, yeah.
Yes, that was my put it together, we'll talk on the phone. I would call her all the time. She would and even growing up, like, I would pose, like, I was, like, the kinda, like, crazy one. I'd have my hand out like this in every picture. Where I learned that, I have no idea. But she did a lot of dance, so her ballet teacher, I was actually named after. So Grace Clark of Annapolis, she was a, like, very renowned, ballet teacher. And my sister had been going there for, 7, 8 years before I
Oh.
was born, so I became Grace.
You guys were just named Joy and Grace, and I was
No,
like, "Is there a hope too?"
there's faith, and yeah, we used to get that all the time. They're like, "Oh, we gotta go to church. The Hayward sisters are here."
Oh.
But we always took it so well, and it's funny
Yeah.
because our older sisters have, like, I would say, less religious names, but
Yeah.
we were, like, the religious names, but it wasn't ever meant to be. My mom wanted me to be named Claire,
Yeah, I like
Claire
that.
Victoria, and my dad thought it sounded like the car, the Crown Victoria.
Oh,
Dad.
Yeah.
what?
So he was like, "No, I don't made." Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, she was always bringing home dogs. She went and visit our older sister, and she
Oh.
came back with a dog. She was babysitting down there in the summer, and she's like, "I'm gonna be in Trouble," so she named the dog Trouble. She's like, "Look."
Aw, the kitty's coming to visit.
So, and I'm
Aw.
just like, so this was actually, and we'll cut this, but this
Yeah.
was a outdoor cat, and the owner
Oh.
man, she kept coming to the door every day, so I took her to get a rabies shot,
Aw.
and now
That's
she lives
amazing.
inside and has no desire to ever be outside.
Aw.
Yeah.
It sounds like Joy's sending the animals to you now because she took them in.
She did. So she took in like this strange looking
Yeah.
like Cocker spaniel from my older sister's neighbor. They were moving, or it was a puppy.
Yeah.
Trouble slept in her bed every night like a person. Like it would be he would be curled
Oh,
up like as a
wow.
person. She would tuck him under the covers, and all the dogs, she would put them in the pool and like, "You're gonna learn to swim because you could fall in." Like she was so
Oh.
like, "I don't want you to get hurt, so I'm gonna teach you to
Did she volunteer at, the SPCA
Yeah.
or
Yep, she
okay.
did. She loved animals. She would pet sit, she babysat. The people next door had 4 kids, so she would babysit
Wow.
there. She babysat the boy and a girl across the street, actually 2 sets. She loved kids. She was big into 4-H too. It's less of an agricultural county now, but back then it really was.
Mhm.
She was into everything. She just had this like thirst to be around people and animals and want to help. She
And
really
people
did.
are
Just love
probably
animals.
gravitated
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
her, just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I feel that way through photos, right?
Really
Like,
does. Yeah,
she has
beautiful
this
and beautiful
magnetic energy
smile,
even
and
now.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, yeah, and she's at that
Yeah.
Perfect
perfect, like,
teeth. Yeah.
early 2000s, like, you said, like, cool girl look about her.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when in 2003, she was still like traveling and doing her thing. We showed up at like a family event in the exact same shoes and had not planned it. They were like the clear lucite heels that
Yeah.
everybody wore. And I was like, "Where did you get those?" And we got them at the exact same place, like a Rugged Warehouse
Yeah.
or something. And
Yeah.
she was very on point with the trends in her own way. Whether she wanted to incorporate, like, I really like red, so I'm gonna wear like this red shirt and then have like a cardigan. And it just all always worked. Like
Yeah.
skirts, dresses, and like you wanted to be around her. She was taller than me,
Yeah.
like she was like 5'7".
Yeah, she
So
looks tall in photos.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's tall. Yeah, I only made it about 5'3". I'm closer to, but my mom's about that, so it made
Yeah.
sense. But yeah, so she looks like my mom. There's a couple of pictures I've posted on Facebook with my mom, but she looks like my mom a lot.
Mhm.
And I kind of look like my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
Dad got his way with number 2.
Yeah. Aw.
Looks like my mom a lot. Like even now, like and my mom's 20 minutes away, but she
Mhm.
reminds me so much of my mom. And that teacher side of her, like she was always learning
Mhm.
something, coloring. She loved art too. My mom loves art. And like she'd take photography and do all the photos. And when our dad passed, she did like all these cool
Yeah,
collages. You got to think these were in the times of like getting
yeah.
pictures printed.
Yes.
and hoping
Yes.
for the best.
Hmm. Yeah, we
And
remember those days, the
yes,
disposable cameras. And
yes. And you
so,
would have to go drop them off and wait 7
topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
to do not disturb now, but somebody
You're
called one
back
of
on.
those
Now it's
crazy
recording. Yep.
scammers.
Yeah, that's what
Yep.
it said. Yeah.
Yay. Okay.
No
Awesome.
problem.
And my dog started barking, so I was
Phew.
like, well, let me go bring them in.
Excuse me. All right. So take us to, okay, so she went to school to become a teacher. Was she working as a teacher at this point before?
She was still nannying, so
Okay.
she loved like that full on she used to
Oh, yeah.
live at people's houses for their
Oh,
kids.
wow.
Like they would grow her.
Hmm.
And she stayed in touch with them. But she, like I said, she loved kids. And she went to Salisbury. She graduated with a degree in psychology. She didn't know what she wanted to do with that, like once she got it, which makes
Hmm.
sense. Like we're all so young to pick
Yeah.
careers in high school. And it's funny because she was really good at listening to people's problems, but I don't
Hmm.
think that's like what she wanted to do. So my mom had given her all of these materials to go back to school to be a teacher because that's
Okay.
what my mom's done. She did 38 years
Yeah.
teaching. So Joy was like, I want to go back and work with kids. Like, I want to find a way, to
Yeah.
do what I love and get paid. So she had enrolled in that program and she had taken some time off too because our dad had gotten sick very quickly, like around
Hmm.
Christmas, and didn't even make it till Easter. So it was a
Oh.
very, very quick, and they still don't have any type of longevity for that type of cancer, which is crazy.
Mm.
So she was like, you know what? I'm going to take some time, figure out everything. She bought a red Jeep. She had a red Ford Escort too, but
Mhm.
she loved that Jeep. So she was coming to visit me from Salisbury to Annapolis, which is like an hour and a half. And she's like, I'm late. I'm so sorry. I hit a seagull on the Bay Bridge. And I was
Oh.
like, if you actually hit a seagull on the Bay Bridge, like you can't get out of this.
Yeah.
You better have hit a seagull on the Bay Bridge. And she came and there was like a big
Oh
giant
my gosh.
seagull. And I was like, okay, you definitely did hit a seagull.
Oh, I bet she felt really bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did. If she had found a way to like bring it home and put it back, she would have.
Yeah.
And after she graduated from Salisbury, she did go down to Florida. We had some family down there. She went to Tampa area for a bit,
Mhm.
and she brought home 2 dogs. And my
More
dad was like,
dogs.
already left a dog
Yeah.
here named Trouble. And she brought home 2 dogs. My dad gave one away to a local nursery. He was like, you need a guard dog because I cannot have 7 dogs in my
Right. Right. Yeah.
and Joy would go to that nursery and visit the dog, like, it was so
Oh.
hurt. He's like, "You need a dog." I mean, it was a lab. It was gonna be, like, the worst guard dog.
Yeah.
I can't have all of these dogs. Like, your mom has a dog. I had a dog. You already left a dog here, and now you brought 2 more. It was constant with
She
Joy.
would have like a
So
dog today, I'm sure,
yes.
if she was
We
around.
would be
Yeah.
sending money through Facebook and,
Mhm.
like, going there and, like, I don't know, like, providing dog food and resources.
So
She would
where
be a
was Joy
full-on
living at
rescue.
this time? After she graduated
Oh.
college, was she still in Maryland?
Yeah, so she had stayed in Salisbury. She had an apartment there with a roommate of hers from the Salisbury days. And
Mhm.
then she met somebody down in like the North Carolina area. They were actually dating her roommate. Well, the roommate was dating the roommate. So she was like, come with me. We're going to go down to North Carolina, road trip,
Through her
I
friend.
see. So she met
Okay.
the boyfriend
Okay.
through her
So they all
roommate.
went
So she
down
was
there,
dating the
and that's
boyfriend's
how
roommate.
she met the
Okay.
boyfriend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was she living down there
Yes.
at it all then, or was she mostly living in Maryland?
I think she was living in Maryland, so the license still said Maryland, but she was down there
Okay.
enough
Yeah.
that there was stuff there. You know what I mean? Like when you
Mhm.
spend time and if he was traveling, I think she
Mhm.
stayed there more so that like there was somebody at the house and just, kind of like that. And like because she loved taking care of like animals and people and stuff like that, I think she was like, oh, I can do this. I'll stay
Mhm.
and take care of stuff. And she would go up and visit when he traveled, and I believe he was on, like, an assignment up that way, and they had
Mhm,
gone
mhm.
to Atlantic City and done a bunch of
Mhm.
different things, and they were just
Yeah,
kind of,
and
like,
so she would kind of
enjoying
like
their
when he was
20s, if that
traveling for
makes
work,
Yeah.
sense.
it seems like
Yeah.
she would kind of go and they would make like a long weekend of it and they would see different city. And I could see how that's very
Yes.
exciting to a girl in her 20s. I mean,
Yes.
it sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had gone to Canada, there were some pictures and things like that, so, like, hey,
Mhm.
let's go travel. Once you
Yeah.
have kids, it kinda slows down, it's a
It
different type
does.
of travel.
Yeah.
And, because of everything that happened with our dad, like, it was just a hard time. Like, we were daddy's little girls. Like, we didn't fight
Yeah.
for attention, but we were daddy's girls. Like, we truly were. Like, we could say, "Can we go shopping? Can you buy us this?"
And he would do it.
And he would do it. He would do it with a smile. He'd be
Oh.
like, "How much is this gonna cost me?" And we were used to traveling, so our mom would go to Europe all the time, so, like, Joy went when she was, like, every year in high school, I
Yep.
did every year in middle school. Our mom was actually born overseas and then came out here as a
Oh,
child.
wow.
Yeah. So we're like, my mom's, like, 1st year here, so, like, immigrant-wise,
Wow.
and she's from France. So,
Oh,
like, always go back and wanna go to
I don't know why I was gonna guess France. I don't you guys give me
Awesome.
French vibes.
Oh, so
That's
no, I was
so
gonna
So
say, so
awesome. So
that
then
makes sense why
go
Joy,
ahead, Jenna.
like, had no issue driving up to PA because she was kind of a seasoned traveler, and so are you. So
yes.
because for a lot of young
Yes.
Yeah.
girls in their 20s, they'd be like, "I don't wanna drive that far," but, like, it seems like she was confident, she liked
Yeah.
to travel, and she had absolutely no problem making that, like, solo road trip up here to see the boyfriend. So that's how
Yes.
she arrived up in PA.
Yeah.
That's
And
very
you're
cool.
absolutely right, because she had gone to Spain. I remember there were pictures of her on the airplane. People were smoking on the airplane in
Oh my god.
1993. Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's taking a picture and there's a cigarette, like, smoking behind her. So, yeah.
Oh,
She was no stranger. We were no stranger to travel.
yeah.
We had sisters and family that lived in, like, Norfolk. We drove to Florida before.
Wow.
Yeah, just to get kind of wheel and just go. Like, our dad did it too. He
But
never flew. He would drive to Florida. Yeah, from
Wow.
Maryland
You guys
without
like
a
your driving.
yeah.
So
So
in February February 2004, she came to Ridley
yes.
did she drive up from North
Yep,
Carolina?
from North
Okay.
Carolina. And the weekend before, they were
mhm,
in New Jersey. I had somebody, like,
uh-huh.
reference that on a, Facebook, and I had seen the transactions through the bank statements
Mhm.
too. They'd been in Atlantic City. She was apparently looking at a timeshare for whatever reason.
Mhm.
And she
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, it'll be fun. Like, my mom can come, my sisters can come, my nephews can come, and it would be like a family thing." And I'm like, "She will talk to anyone."
Yeah. Yeah.
When I found that out after and I was reading everything, I was like, "Okay, so they went to New Jersey, and then it looked like he was going to work during the week, and then, she was out just running errands, like a
Mhm.
normal, go get your nails done, run to the Kmart," which is hard to believe. We don't even have those anymore,
I
and
know.
just a normal, like, running her life just the way, like, "Okay, I'm gonna go back and go," it was close to Valentine's Day.
Mhm.
She had done a little shopping and stuff like that, and just crazy. So that night on the 11th, she checked into the hotel, but prior to that, there had been some type of disagreement. And apparently she took both the cell phones, which were the
I
old
know I
yellow
can picture it in my
Nextel
head.
two-way push to talk. Yeah. Yes. So she apparently took both the phones. They were both registered to my mom. The phone bills were in my mom's name. So she had added a line for that person at some point. So apparently took both the phones, can't be contacted, need a break kind of thing. And they were the yellow and black, like, Nextel push to talk. So the, like, records, there's not a lot on the records, a couple phone calls here and there. Didn't look like the one had been used for a while. And then on hers that night, looked like she tried to call, like a phone directory. She was looking for somebody's phone number and then called it back, trying to find the number again. Don't know who that was because there was not another outgoing. And then the two-way push talk didn't have any type of,
Yeah.
like, records.
Yeah.
Done that way. So the phones were never found. So they weren't, like, in the hotel or anything. So she checked in the hotel. They said, like, 1:38 a.m. They gave her a room up on the 6th floor, and those were the kind of, like, almost like
Mhm.
the outdoor balconies. So you would walk on like an outdoor,
Mhm.
hallway all the way around. So there could have
Mhm.
been one person out there, there could have been nobody out there because of how late it was. Apparently she left and came back, so we don't know where she was. There was not like a debit card transaction or anything after, so we don't know if she just went back to the car, her red Jeep, and was like looking for
Yeah,
things like
maybe she just
her
needed to cool
glasses,
off. Like maybe
contacts, like
she
what does
just
she
like needed to
have
get some
in
air
there?
and just kind of clear her head.
Yeah,
It seems if she didn't buy anything. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it was late too, and then when she came back in, they said that it looked like she had been being followed, but it was strange because it's like a hotel, you have to be buzzed in, so maybe a little due diligence
Oh.
Like
there could have
checking.
been helpful.
So do you think they buzzed her in and someone followed her thinking and the hotel person probably didn't think anything of it because they thought he was with her?
Yeah, that's but then they would
And
have
yeah,
had to
and how
leave
about
at
like
some
checking
point,
the
so it's
other
like
Yeah.
a
guests
lot of
that were
it's more
staying there?
questions.
Did they interview every single guest from that night? That
Yeah.
may have been helpful.
Yes, and that I don't know. There's
Mhm.
things always in an investigation that they won't tell because it could be part of the future, which is always
Right.
the goal. But those were things that, I've always wondered, like, how could there not be video? Like, it's a national chain, like, keeping guests safe. And she called down to the desk clerk and said she had a problem. They said they would come up. And when the van driver got back, they didn't. They just
Yeah.
ended their shift when they ended their shift. And the fire department is like right behind. It's been there since the 80s, so it wasn't added after. After everything went in kind of place, we had the Jeep picked up from the police station and they were like, "Oh, the police station's like half a mile." Like as soon as we got off the
Oh
exit,
my
we got
gosh.
out and we stayed on that road and there was the police department. And I'm like, if just maybe she thought help was on the way and help didn't come, unfortunately. So they did find her the following evening. It was like 5 p.m. They didn't
Wow.
contact my mom. They actually sent like the local police to our house, to my mom's house,
In
to
Maryland.
in Maryland. They sent like local for the our county to the house and they didn't know anything. All they knew was we need to, talk
Oh
to my mom
God.
and we have a death notification. So we had no idea. We had no idea if she'd been in like a car accident. We were clueless. And the next day I started calling the bank and like freezing everything. And they're like, "What happened?" I'm like, "We don't even know." Like we didn't have a clue. Like we just knew like freeze everything until we figure it out. That was what we knew at that point. And then they came back, they said they had to wait for an autopsy, so we're like, "Was she drinking?" Like, we had no clue. And I feel like even today, there's answers about, like, how it happened. They found her in a bathtub, there was, like, a wash rag in the tub, and, like, some water was still in the bathtub with, like, 6 inches of water. She was nude, so we don't know if that was, like, how it happened and she was taking a bath or if that happened after in an attempt to do something, to make it so they weren't known. And unfortunately, that's pretty much what we know. Like, I know it was in a hotel, it was room 605, but since then it seems like that's about like what we've been told, unfortunately. Like, she wasn't coming home and it took about 8 days for her to be brought back to Maryland. And we could see, so when we were picking out what she could wear, we actually had to change and add some scarves because she was strangled. And it
Oh.
does look like it was done manually. It didn't look like there was like a cord. We kind of had to change what she was wearing to accommodate. And then we decided that
Uh-huh.
we would not do any type of, unfortunately open because we just felt like
Mm.
it was disrespectful to how
Yeah.
beautiful and like light bringing she was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the right thing to do. And like nobody should really have to
That's
remember her
heartbreaking for
the
Yeah,
way
how
that
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 beautiful
took
way.
and full
place.
of
Yeah.
life she was. It's so sad.
No.
And unfortunately, it's intentional. Like you can't even say like, "Oh, it was accidental." Like, no,
No.
this was done with intent to end Joy's life. And knowing how she is and like grew up and like how many people have reached out to me, like friends, family, friends of Joy, message requests I get. She never hurt a fly. Like this was so out of character. It wasn't like she would ever put herself like where somebody would be mad at her. And even if you're
Right.
mad, that was so out of character. She would have gave you her Jeep. You need to take it for a ride. You needed money. She would have done all those things for you. She would have taken in your dog. She
Yeah.
would have fed it and gave it a good, happy life. We had trouble for years after she passed. Like, he made it to like 18 and a half years old. So we had her dog. She had another dog. We did not see him after. His name was Lloyd, another rescue from the SPCA. But it changed a lot of dynamic, I think, for our entire family because our dad had just passed.
Yeah.
This tragedy happened with Joy, and you never feel like at peace with anything. Like, I don't know, like how everybody feels about hotels, but I was like,
Oh,
every time I've ever
yeah.
had to go to a hotel, like, it just brings me back. Like, I
Yeah.
want
It's
to stay on
triggering.
the sixth
Yeah.
floor. I make sure my phone's with me, even if I'm taking a shower. Like, I carry a big bottle of Lysol for the like hotel room, but like,
Right.
it
Mhm.
changes like the dynamic because you're no longer safe. Like, women are no
Mhm.
longer safe because there's still somebody out there that had, you go into your room, it's like your house. You
Mhm.
go into a hotel room, you have an expectation of safety.
Right.
And that's just gone. Like, everything I ever knew when I was 20 was like just gone at that point because my big sister's gone, my dad's gone, and like you're just like you're no longer
Yeah,
safe.
it
You
took like
really
all your
aren't.
Your
innocence away
protectors.
too, and it made
Yeah.
you grow up, and you probably couldn't
Yeah.
get to enjoy your 20s. Like joy was, it just that you
Yeah.
and your whole family it totally changed your lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You always double check the locks again and, make sure no one's following you. Like, you no longer have like a sense of like safety. You really don't. And, we thought for
Mhm.
years, like, hey, this person's going to be held accountable. You do the crime, you do the time. Like, that's kind of how we grew up. And,
Mhm.
people were held accountable, especially in our county. Like, we saw, there would be crime and, even if it's just trespassing, like people would be, held
Mhm.
accountable. We really wanted that and expected the same level. And we haven't seen it yet. Just like Joy, I'm a bit of a hopeful, optimistic
Yeah.
forever, waiting. And how much longer? It was 22 years back on February the 12th. And like everything since then has
Mhm.
changed. Like, we have so much social media now,
Technology.
technology, cell phones that have like
Yeah.
Yelp
Tracking.
reviews and
Yeah.
maps, and
Yeah.
you don't have printed directions. Yeah, tracking. Like, you can even see
Mhm.
like on the phones, like if the phone is walking or if the phone is in a
Yes.
car, if the
Yep.
phone's in a passenger,
We
or
can
if the,
track our kids now.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the vehicles have GPS tracking and they have GPS in general. So her 95 Jeep that she had was red and it was a stick shift and had this like crazy Fiesta interior and then a tan like vinyl like soft top to it. And I'm like, wow, like she was so cool. Like, it was a convertible at the same time it was like a soft top. And you know, looking back, I'm like, she was definitely like the very cool big sister. Like, she had like the whole
Mhm.
world, and her hair was so pretty. Like, her eyes
Yeah.
were so light, and just you could tell like she was such a caring person. Like, she cared about everybody she met. And that's what I think is so confusing is like just care as much as Joy cared. Like, if we just took the time and like
Yeah.
we put the effort into it, and it's just crazy what we could accomplish because you know, if there's, a killer out there, they should be held
Mhm.
accountable just like we saw growing up. And
Mhm.
like we saw murders being solved and we saw, people being arrested for, the different activities that are illegal. To see that it's been held, and delayed for 22 years, it still just can't believe it's not been like 5 years, but it's been 22 years, which
I
is
know. And then this person, okay, so it was the front desk who did see a man
Mhm.
walking up with her, getting into the elevator.
Yes.
We don't know who this guy is. It's funny because as you're talking about Joy and how kind and caring she was, like, do you think there's a possibility
They
she
struck
met
up
him
a
outside
conversation.
and he
Yeah.
asked to hang out or he asked for something or asked for help and she was like, sure, like come up and I'll give you something. I don't know. Like,
Maybe like She went and got the hotel room and then left and came back. So, like, there would have been nothing in the
Yeah.
Mhm.
room that she would have been like, "Let me get you my debit
Right.
card
Yeah.
dollars. Here's the keys to my car," because they would have been with her, like, those items, like, whatever
Yeah.
she walked back in with. And that's why I'm like, there were things of clothing and stuff, like, in a bag and whatever it was, but I'm like, it would have all taken place prior or could have taken place in, like,
Mhm.
the lobby.
Yeah.
Knowing that she had somebody that she did care about, I don't think so. She was
Mhm.
not like, like she cared about the other
The
person. So
more
I'm
that
like,
we
I
talk,
don't
I
think that's the
do,
case.
when you were talking about being
Okay.
buzzed into the hotel, it does make me lean towards somebody was watching her and followed her in. And the front desk clerk,
Like
what does
followed
he
her
know?
in.
Like he didn't
Yeah.
know if that person was with her or not. And he's the only eyewitness of that the police have.
Yes. And he's who provided the sketch.
I was gonna ask. Yeah. Yeah.
The like reviews later on said like people were saying they're on vouchers. So they could have been saying they're on vouchers and they were just,
Mhm.
oh, let me just let them in. Let me just let them in and just became complacent.
Mhm. Right.
Right.
Trust but verify. Like, hey, what room number? Let me see your hotel card. Maybe just some different parameters to keep the guests safe. Like now there's the
Yes.
technology where you have to tag your room
Yes, we were just
card to even press the floor you're
in New
going
Mexico,
to.
Yep.
the elevator, and in Philly,
New
we've been in
Mexico, you had
Philly
to do
where you
that
have
as
to do that
well.
too,
Yeah.
just
You
to
can't get
just to
up.
get the elevator to go up or down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, to your point, just so much has
Yeah.
changed
Yeah.
with technology, social media, and everything, and that's why we're hoping to bring attention to Joy's case so that we can use what we do have now that we didn't have in 2004, which is those resources, you know,
Mhm.
and our
Yes.
podcast, getting it out there, all the petitions and everything that we want to do to work and get justice for Joy. We want to get all of our listeners involved in helping with this and utilizing all the tools that we have now to really, yeah,
Yeah.
to really apply
And
that
we didn't
pressure
have in
to the Chester
2004.
Police
Well,
Department is what our resources have told us that is like the number one thing that will help bring justice for Joy.
yes.
Now, this person, they have a DNA profile. They were found what was it? Not too long after they assaulted another woman.
Yeah, so about June of 2004, there was someone near a bus stop and said that they were riding a bicycle, the perpetrator, and then their sketches were similar. So I don't know if there was
Mhm.
further testing done, but if it's the same person, they were still in the area 4 months later.
Okay.
But there wasn't a lot done or said after that. So I think that article came out in 2009 with the Delco Times, and I've never seen anything else further from it. So it could have been wishful
Mhm.
thinking, unfortunately.
Do we have a DNA profile from that assault? And so we don't know, but we think they might be connected.
They thought that the sketch looked the same. Yeah.
Gotcha. And then when did you last hear from the police in Chester, Pennsylvania?
So the last time I was a sergeant in 2014, and it was always myself and my mom reaching out. And then I started a petition because I was not getting return phone calls. Unfortunately, when you don't return my phone call, I will keep contacting. So I filled a petition out in August of 2022 or 2023, and then I was contacted by the captain of that area of the Chester, and they wanted to know about it and everything. So I told them, it's still 18, 19 years later, it's unsolved. And then um, I did talk to someone earlier this year after a lady was handing out flyers in the area. And she was like, they're going to call you. And I was like, okay. So that was in early February. And that call was very short. And it was the same person that I had talked to in 2014. And I was honestly shocked that they were still there because it had been over 12 years that we have had phone calls and conversation. It just seemed like I was falling on deaf ears. I was always told you
Mhm.
have to wait for the powers that be and kind of we'll have to see. I feel like I'm always like I'm a pusher. Like
Mhm.
I'm always like, let's
Mhm.
meet our goal, push forward. And I'm like, how do we move this along? Like, let's get some emphasis. And so it was really good with my mom at first. They would actually mail her like news article if there was a news article on my sister. That's why I'm able to post some of those. After that detective left, it was very different. It was very, very different. Technology's changed, the times have changed. We have a reward out there. It was increased from 10,000 to 25,000. I don't know what it's gonna take to, who was in that area. They wanna come and have a conversation. They don't wanna talk about it. They've moved. That part of their life is over now. But somebody knows. They do. Somebody knows somebody that looks like the sketch. A mom knows her kid's eyes. They know, their facial features. Family knows, what their family members look like. Like if someone, drew a picture and it was halfway decent, I would know who that was,
Hmm.
especially, if I gave birth to them. So I would feel like there's somebody out there that's just like, it's not my place. I'm going to stay silent. I don't want to talk about it. That was a long time ago. But unfortunately for the family, like time stands still. Like it all still feels like when I think about it, like it was yesterday. It really does. Like having my mom call it like, 9, 10 o'clock at night and saying, come over to the house. The police are here. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
happened? Like, it still feels like it was yesterday. Like I said, time kind of stands still when you don't have closure.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just still like hung up on the fact that the last time they really gave you any kind of update was 2014. And then I know you brought to their attention, hey, there's this genealogy DNA, forensic DNA that we can do. And they kind of just didn't care to explore it. And at this point, there are grants that you guys can obtain to pay for it. So if cost is an issue for the Chester police, you've already got that taken care of. So at this point, for our listeners, the Chester Police Department, they own this DNA profile. So they have custody of whoever this perp is, the DNA in their possession. And unfortunately, we can't compel them in any way to turn it over to an outside lab like Othram Labs, who took care of the Brian Koberger DNA. So it blows my mind that the Brian Koberger situation was solved in 6 weeks from a tiny, what was it, touch DNA from a knife sheath. And we're just asking for DNA that was collected
That's
in
all.
2004
They
to get
have
sent to a
they
similar
have
lab.
they have
So
the
we can
DNA.
figure this
It's
out.
right there.
That's all we need. It's right in front of their faces. Like this could be solved. And I think that's what everyone thinks when they, see your TikToks and the Facebook. It's like, what do you mean they've got the DNA and they haven't figured out who this is? I mean, it's 2026. Like we figured out the Golden State Killer through the same means. So why can't we do this with this person? And then the way they've treated your family is abhorrent. I'm just disgusted that they just keep blowing you off. And it's been 22 years. I understand Chester, Pennsylvania is it's unfortunately a high crime area, and they've probably got other things happening on a daily basis, but like they could easily get this off their plate if
Yes.
they just turn the DNA over to where you want it to go.
Yes.
And that's what we're hoping to accomplish with our petition, with our post. I mean, we're going to be sharing, we're tagging Nancy Grace, we're tagging 6ABC, NBC 10, all the big players, and we want our listeners to do the same. We want you to share the stories. And we'll, TikTok, it's Justice for Joy. Share those posts as well. Tag those people in it because we need to get this out there because Chester Police Department, we fully support the men in blue, but this is kind of egregious that we're not getting this done for this family.
Thank you. I really do
Yeah.
appreciate it. And knowing that there's a potential that we can not only, get some national spotlight
Yeah.
to this and, people will go back and they'll see, wow, this Facebook page has been open 18 years. This
Yeah.
TikTok's been open for years. To really see photos of Joy and like really what we've been talking about, like just that magnetic, charismatic, and just a
And
delight to be
people
around.
need
Like
to
she
know
really
that, and it makes it
does.
more real. And that's why we think this podcast is really going to help Joy's cause because people will get to hear about her and know she was a real person, with hobbies and family and friends and a whole life ahead of her. And that, I think, drives it home for people and makes it feel real. And they want to help as much as Jackie and I do.
Yeah, and then when we went to the
Uh-huh.
crime convention in New Mexico, Gabby Petito's mom and stepmom were there. And I'm sure you've heard of Gabby Petito. Everybody's like, it was national headlines. And there's just something about when somebody's like in a news cycle or you're just seeing a two-dimensional photo, like, they're a
Uh-huh.
real person, but they become even more real when you meet the family. And then like we saw her
Yeah.
mom and we're like, oh my gosh, they look the same. Like it just hits you that like this was a real person. Not that you didn't know that, but it makes it more real. And even talking to you, I'm
Yeah.
like, I wonder how many of Joy's mannerisms that you have that we're seeing right now.
Yes.
I mean, we wouldn't know, but
Yes.
like you're making her come to life and we want her to come to life and, deserve answers. Your whole family does. And your mom, she's getting older. And it's
Yeah.
like, how does she feel at this point?
I feel like, and I talk to her all the time and I go see
Yeah.
her, almost like deflated. Like a piece of her never came back between my
Yeah.
dad and then her firstborn daughter, defeated. And a lot of it has to do with communication. Sometimes not saying anything or just saying, "Hey, how you doing today, Claire?"
Yeah.
means a lot.
Yeah.
And she used to have that and she doesn't have it now with the communication. A part of it, like she even says, like, part of it's just like a fog. Like how you never get over, like Gabby Petito's mom, you never get over. Unfortunately, time does stand still. Like she has so many things of joy. She has her diploma hanging on the wall and stuff like that in the living room and pictures. And I jokingly said to her, I was like, "You have more pictures of joy than you do me." And she's like, "Well, I see you all the time." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Okay."
yeah.
So she kind of knows how to guilt trip me back a little, but there's like a part of you that's just always kind of like, I hate to say it, like a little part of her died. To be honest, like just that little extra. Joy is a lot like my mom, so like just that little piece of her is
Mm.
just never the same.
Right. I mean, I don't know how
Mhm.
you could be. I mean, we're moms we're all moms here and
Yeah.
I would feel like something ripped my heart
Uh-huh.
out if
Yeah.
something happened to
Uh-huh.
my kid. No matter what
And
age
you're
they are,
never
even
the
if they're an
same.
adult, it's
Well, that makes it
and
worse.
then just not knowing too.
And yeah, and because of how close we were, it wasn't like, Joy still came there. She still had her bedroom set up. I had
Mm,
taken it over, but
mm.
It's nice to
we were
hear
very,
that,
very tight knit
it
family.
that you had her, in your life like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, we were very tight knit, so, like, that also makes it even harder because it was, like, somebody I talked to every day. I'd call her on my way home from work or home from college and, "Hey, can you help me with this?" or "Can you help me with that?" She just knew it all. Even if she didn't know,
Mm.
she knew. She knew
Yeah.
what the little sister needed to hear that day. So, yeah, like I said, even for all of us, like, it just impacted us, like, my sisters, my nephews,
Mhm.
people we hadn't even talked to because they were Joy's friends. They're all hit from this. They really are. I had somebody reach out not too long ago on Facebook, and they wanted to know how my sister was. It's like, they found me, and I had to tell them, and they're like,
Oh,
"I had no idea, but that makes sense why she hadn't reached out."
oh my God.
They were like, "We knew she would have stayed in touch, because she would
Mhm.
have turned 50 in July of
Um,
2025." So much time has changed and passed, and like people are still like thinking about her, and she's just not here. The justice hasn't been served. It's been sat on hold since it happened.
Yeah, I mean, like you said before we started recording, like even if the police can't release any publicly, like you just want to know.
Yeah.
And I feel
Mhm.
like just not knowing is making this worse for everyone. Even if that person's gone no longer here either, right? Because they're telling and this is one thing that it was the Chester police that told you you were the ghost.
Yes, it was on a YouTube through one of the crimes. They said it in like 2014. We could be chasing a ghost, and a ghost didn't commit this crime. Like it was too heinous
Uh-huh.
for them to just fall off the face of the earth.
This was a very violent person.
Hmm.
And whoever it was, I mean, they somehow got their way up to her room. And then one last thing is the cigarette butts. Did Joy smoke?
She did.
Okay.
She would smoke when she would drink or grab
Okay.
cigarettes. So at first it was like Marlboro lights, and
Yeah.
then it was Parliament lights.
Mhm.
I hate to say it, everybody
Oh,
kind of smoked. It
yeah.
Yeah.
wasn't.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
were smoking sections in restaurants.
Yeah. It was big back then.
It was
Yeah.
big, yeah,
No,
and
the cigarette butts they found in what was it, the ice? bucket.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about those? Like, were they brands she would smoke, or were they other?
Didn't appear to be, and, I kind of it's a hotel, and I kinda
Mhm.
have my own thoughts about that. If you're a cleaning person and it's a balcony on the out front and you're, you know, using the key or a card to get in, and they're outside, maybe you pick them up, maybe you have gloves
Yeah,
on and you just
that's
Threw
I
them
could
in
see that.
there. Okay.
I don't know, like, I just have more
Yeah.
questions than answers, but
Yeah.
then you go and you discover what happened,
Mhm,
and maybe you don't
mhm,
mention it. Like, it's just that's your, habit of, oh,
mhm,
there's, if we sweep up the cigarette butts or we pick them up with our glove and so yeah, I think there's a crime news that had done it on the YouTube. I feel like some of those pictures they posted were actually crime scene photos. Like they showed like a tub and like red toenails and like that all is very fitting as to how Joy was, perfect
Mhm.
manicured and pedicured toes and fingers. And it did show, but I was like, I don't
uh-huh,
know, like how clean was the hotel room prior? Were they,
Mhm.
vacuuming and was like, oh, let me throw those in the ice bucket? I don't know. I just have more questions than answers about that.
Oh,
mhm,
I
mhm,
see. Yeah,
mhm,
they could just be them not cleaning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mhm,
it's a hotel room. It wasn't like it was her bedroom
Right.
in a place that she lived, and she hadn't been there very long. They said that she was passed away before like 5 a.m. So 1:38 a.m. you check in, you come back an hour later. She wasn't up there very long when all this went down. So I'm like, how much could she have,
mhm.
Been smoking.
exactly, or in the room herself? Like, so it makes you think like, what was and the other part is like, could it have even
That's
been
what
there
I
from
was
a past?
thinking. Yeah,
Yes, like there's more
Probably.
questions than answers. How many times have you gone to a hotel room and like like, kind of like go through stuff to leave, and we found a pair of socks and they're not our socks.
Oh my gosh, Grace, I have to tell you this. This is bringing it. Okay, so when we were at the crime convention, I met another podcaster, and she used to work for like the coroner's office in Texas. And I said, "What was the weirdest, I guess, call you've been on?" And she said, in Houston, Texas, they showed up at a hotel, and apparently this girl overdosed and with her friends. Like they were hanging out in this hotel room, she overdosed. They panicked and they put her in the box spring of the bed, and she had been there for 2 weeks. They were hoping somebody would find her. So then they, I guess, called 911, and they were like, "By the way, our friend is under this mattress in room whatever." So then she goes, we pull up, and like
in the
there was literally
room.
a guest in there staying in the room, and they had to ask him to leave
That's
because they're like, "We
horrifying.
need to see what's on." And she was in there, and she hadn't
Oh my
decomposed
god.
because of the air condition.
Because
Isn't that nuts? Sorry, I just felt like I
yeah,
had to tell you because
yeah,
you're
That's
on this. I
very
mean, these
plausible.
hotels, like,
they're not the yeah. And if you go back and read like the Yelp reviews,
yeah,
there's one, I think I was posting them for a while. Like it said, it looked like this is a crime scene. There's blood on the
yeah.
wall. There's the lamps,
Oh, I
knocked
know.
the lampshade. So like the things that go in hotels like are kind of like gross anyway. So that also didn't feel like helped them, gave them an
Mm,
up on the police department on an
mm-mm.
investigation side, because it's like what's supposed to be here and what's not.
Right.
And I think that was hard too, because like if those are and there's viable DNA, like I don't want to sound like a defense attorney here, but I'm like, where'd they come from? Were they fresh? Like, how can you tell?
Yeah, and you're right to ask those questions because that's so important in finding the right person
Yeah.
in all of this.
Yeah. And I believe she would have fought
Uh-huh.
back too. So I feel like there's other places to look.
Do you know if she had defensive wounds, or they didn't share much with you?
There was bruising, but there was
Okay.
never like claw marks or scratch marks. It was
Okay.
it was a very strong or
Yeah, like
enraged person would be my best guess, because she was 5'7" and then
Yeah.
like 140, I believe, which is about right, maybe 150. So I'm like, she could have held her own. She had a little sister, she had older sisters.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and she was fit, she had done cheerleading for years. We had all done karate at some point. So I'm like, but when you're
mhm,
physically overpowered, there's not much you can do.
mhm,
And we don't
mhm.
know if they had a weapon either or threatened to have a weapon.
Right.
So, yeah, I know there's so many questions and there
Yeah.
really isn't any answers.
22 years. I mean, you could have a kid graduating college by now. You
Yeah.
know, that's how many years have gone by that you guys have more questions than answers. And unfortunately, the Chester Police Department's not getting you answers. They're brushing you off. It's just abhorrent how they're treating a family of a victim. Like, I don't care how long ago it's been. You need to get answers. And we really appreciate your time today, Grace. I know it's getting late and we
Yeah.
have kids and everything. So as we wrap up, we just want our listeners to, when we start posting about this, please like share, comment. That helps push it into the algorithm. You sharing it. Go to Justice for Joy TikTok. And then what else do you guys have? You have the Facebook.
We have a Facebook,
Yep.
Who Killed Joy Hayward in Chester, Pennsylvania. We have a change petition as well. It has really not gotten much traction, like as much as I thought it would. I was doing something, where try to advocate to have the DNA tested,
Mhm.
but letters, I think just awareness too. To this never made national news. There was 3 news articles, and they stopped in 2009 about this. And I've shared them all, so you're more than welcome to go back and look.
Mhm.
But 3 articles, Joy's life should have never been taken, but to be reduced to 3 blurbs is unreal. I've written more about her than any news article has over time.
And I mean, I think you said at one point you reached out to somebody at the police department and you knew more about them
Yeah.
than they ever knew about Joy. And that
Yeah.
really struck a chord with me. I'm like, this shouldn't be the case at
Mhm.
all, at all. And we're gonna get our name out there. We're gonna get
Yes.
our name out there, and we're asking everyone listening, and whoever follows us on our socials, please, please, please get this word out about Joy Hayward.
We do.
Especially, we have a large Pennsylvania following. I think we shared with you. We do. And we want you guys to show up and get this out there. And one thing too, Grace, is every time we've done a local story, there's always
Yeah.
somebody that comments and they're like, "Oh, well, I knew that person's
Mhm.
family, or I knew like somebody knew somebody." So I'm hoping in that situation, somebody knows somebody in Chester, or somebody knows somebody at
Yep.
the police department, or somebody knows a state senator, or, that's another thing. If you guys have connections out there to state senators, Governor Josh Shapiro, we need those people involved to get pressure on the police to turn this DNA over to the
Mhm.
labs that Grace's family needs it to go to. So we really ask you guys, if you know
Mhm.
anybody, please reach out and we can pass that information along to Grace,
Mhm.
or you can message her directly at
Mhm.
Justice for Joy on TikTok, at the Facebook page. Is there an email address too?
Yes. So
Yep.
it's justice and then for joy 2022 at gmail.com. So that was the year I had set it up. So justice for joy 2022 at gmail.com. You can also message on TikTok. We've got the Facebook as well. So that has a lot of, I've shared the phone numbers to the police department.
Yeah, and we'll
Mhm.
link
As
all
well
of this
as the
on all of
emails
our
there
platforms,
too.
on the Apple
Okay.
Podcasts,
Yeah.
Jackie, at every streaming platform. We'll just link the email, the TikTok, everything. Yeah.
Everything, tags, all of it. And then we're going to ask people reshare.
Mhm.
And if you reshare, tag Nancy Grace, the
He
local
does.
news,
Yep.
I think Josh Shapiro has social media. He's always on it.
Sure.
But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And if you need anything or we missed a
Yeah.
spot, just let me
Yeah.
know. I'm happy to.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you for the time today. And
Yeah.
thank you for also being advocates for joy
Yeah.
and taking the time because really it is time. And I know you ladies really do care.
Yeah.
You would have
Mhm.
just kind of scrolled and you
Yeah.
didn't. You took the time and
Of
I really
course.
do appreciate it. And I know
Yeah.
our family does too.
It gives me
Choked up.
goosebumps. I know she just kept popping up and popping up, and I'm like, I gotta do something. Like, we got to do something for this. And I know we had like messaged a little bit before, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I just have to revisit this. We have to do this. It's almost like I don't know. I feel like, how could she be at rest at this point?
Yeah. I find it hard to believe she's
Mhm.
at rest other she's with my dad and they're looking
Yeah.
down. I think they also energize me too. I know it sounds
Yeah.
crazy, but like knowing that there's this person out there and there's DNA, it just like you'll see like a big push like in the last like couple of years. I'm like, what is going on? Like
Hmm.
I have to be their I have to be her
Yeah, you
advocate because
are.
she's not here.
And you're doing such a phenomenal job. I mean, I said to you, you remind me of myself. Like if anything happened to my little sister, I would be not beaten down. I mean, you're handling it much better than I would. I think we'd go down to the police station and like show up every day and be like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
Crossed my
Yeah.
mind several times, like her tattoo, like, do I get them put on coffee mugs and have them shipped there? And order pizza and make them spell out joy with pepperoni every Friday.
I love it.
But
I
I
love
love
it.
those
or
ideas.
outside the police station, like, there are things people think I'm unhinged, and they're like, they check in and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "You don't understand what advocating feels like." But there are things I do have restraint.
And
Do have
that's
restraint.
important for people to know is that we don't know what this is like, but we can only imagine. And I just try to put myself in your shoes and I'm like, it would be consuming me, the anger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it takes a lot. Like, it takes a lot, like, each day to get up and be like, "Okay, it's time to post again, and it's time to do this, and how can I do things differently?"
Yeah.
And it is draining, but, there until I see an end in sight, I'm not backing down. I will have to lose internet privilege. Seriously, though, I would have to lose internet privileges at this point. Now that I have, like,
Yeah.
a really good rhythm and, like, I've got
Yeah.
my hashtags and, I'm like, "You know what, Joy?" And I'm gonna plan to go visit her this Saturday,
Oh.
because, it's gonna be Mother's Day, so I'm
Yeah.
like, "Sunday's gonna be my day. I'm gonna go visit you on Saturday." But it really doesn't bring me peace going there, to be honest. My sister's there, my dad's there, my grandparents are there, Joy's godparents are there, but it does not. It actually just kind of like, it's like fuel on a fire, honestly, going to the cemetery. Yeah. So most people think it's mentally draining, and I'm like, oh, it brings out a different side to me. It's the one who comes up with the ideas for the pizza and the coffee mugs.
Do you think that's her
It'll-
putting those thoughts in
yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I believe they're around. She's
They
around
are.
you. Yeah. And I'm sure she sends you messages and signs. And I'd like to think that maybe she put something on me too to be like, can you help? And because I kept seeing it, kept seeing it, kept seeing it. I'm like, this is like a sign. Like, I don't know. We got to do something. I said to Jenna, I'm like, I don't know why, but I'm really drawn to this case. Like, we really have to use our platform to help you guys. So,
I appreciate
yeah.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. I hope we can get some momentum going because
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just keeps
We'll do our best.
dead ending for you. And,
Yeah.
but I'm hopeful now that you had one TikTok go a little viral.
That was pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. And,
Yeah.
like I told you, I was like, "Oh, I did it from Joy's point of view, so I didn't do it from the sister anymore."
Yeah.
It's good. You gotta switch things up. That was the old school selfie that was actually taken on a camera and then picked up at probably like a pharmacy a week later. So, and then
Aw.
I took a picture of it with my phone.
Yeah.
Because every now and again I run across, I want to say new photos, but photos I haven't seen. I don't think
Wow.
there's new photos to be found. But it's nice running across some of the photos and being like, oh, I hadn't seen these ones in a really long time. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
But I
Grace.
appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Do I stress you out? My sweater's on backwards and inside out, and you say, how appropriate. I don't dissect everything today. I don't mean to pick you apart, you see, but I can't help it. And there I go, jumping before the gunshot has gone off. Slap me with the splintered ruler, and it would knock me to the floor, but I wasn't there already. If only I could hunt the hunter. And all I really want is some patience, a way to calm the angry voice. And all I really want is deliverance. Do I wear you out? You must wonder why I'm relentless and all strung out. I'm consumed